All right. Full disclosure here. Hand up. This is Tory Taylor. He's Iowa's punter. He's the best punter in the world. I just did a 10-minute interview with him. It was the best interview I've ever done, and I forgot to press record. And this is how good of a human being he is.
I'll do it again.
He's doing it again.
I'm always happy to talk.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll start over. 4,479 punting yards, NCAA record, single season. The MVP of Iowa's team, which you denied the first time, but I'm going to keep saying it.
Okay, I appreciate it. I guess that's really just a matter of opinion. But in terms of the whole record, it's obviously pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, no one punts as much as Iowa, so I doubt it'll ever be broken, which is pretty cool. I mean, if it is, then so be it. I don't really worry about it, It's obviously a pretty cool achievement and one of those things. It's like, I guess it's a world record, but I don't pay too much attention to that stuff.
Well, I gotta ask you again now, because we talked about your first game, and you come over from Australia. It's the pandemic.
Yeah.
Your first game is against Purdue. There's no one in the stands. What was that like?
Yeah, it was obviously a pretty whirlwind experience. I'd never really stepped foot on into a stadium or anything like that.
It's a giant stadium. There's nobody there.
Yeah, pretty big. I didn't really realize how big the stadiums were, and Canucks obviously pretty big. But even going to Purdue, I knew it was smaller. But we got there, I'm like, holy crap! It's actually still a pretty big stadium. So yeah, I remember it was it's pretty weird. Like I didn't really know too much about football at that stage because I was new to it. But I was a little nervous. But I thought, I'm just gonna go out and have fun. This is what I'm over here for, and learn a lot during the game. Coach Parker cussing at all the refs and things like that. But he won't mind me saying that because it's true and everyone sees it.
Our first interview, we discussed Phil Parker. He's Iowa's defensive coordinator. I think he should make $10 million a year.
Oh, probably more.
Tory agrees.
And everyone knows he's the man in that building.
And so he is an absolute psychopath.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
but you know what? Like,
is that why that defense is so good?
I think so. Yeah. It's one of the best defenses in the country. Coach Parker, and I feel like Coach Parker, Coach Woods, and Coach Wallace are probably, three of the better coaches in America, and they're really what gets that place going, as well as Coach Ferentz as well. No knock on him. He's done a terrific job getting everyone together as well.
Well, LeVar Woods, we didn't mention him in interview number one, but the special teams coach, tight ends coach.
He'll actually be here tomorrow, which is exciting.
I mean, what did he do for your career? How did he help you?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, he recruited me from Australia, which is probably the most important part. But I think one thing that I really liked about Coach Woods, especially the last couple of years of my career, was he really just emphasized me being me, not trying to be someone I'm not, or not trying to be this person, or, go do this like this person does. It was never any of that. It was just like, well, what are you good at? And let's do that. So that's one thing that I'm really grateful of. And he's just a really good person. I'm really grateful to build a strong relationship with him and his family, and really grateful for him more so as a person, not even really as a coach.
So you came through Pro Kick Australia, which is the organization that places a lot of you guys in with teams over here. How does that recruiting process work? Like when you're getting recruited, what do they tell you about Iowa, and how are you, like, what other schools were you looking at? How did you decide?
I won't go into too much detail in terms of other schools, but it really just works out in the sense that I went down there in 2019.
Yeah.
Kind of thought, you know what, I'll give this a go. And my mum and dad were like, yeah, you know what, whatever you choose, we'll back you in. And my dad was like, said, don't be one of those guys sitting in the pub in 20, 30 years time going, would have, should have, could have. Either you do it or you don't. It's pretty black and white. And I kind of thought, well, I'm not really enjoying what I'm doing now. I may as well just go over there and have fun. And it's pretty crazy. I'm sitting there 4 years later.
Maybe going to the NFL.
At the Reese's Senior Bowl. It's pretty exciting.
So what were you doing at the time?
Yeah, so I was working in construction at the time, and I was also worked at a golf club. Thought about going to university to do a construction management degree, and that was kind of a big priority for mine. And then found out about this Pro Kick thing, and I kind of thought, well, I can go to university whenever I want. I can't really punt when I'm 40.
Right.
Well, maybe I
There's
could.
some.
Yeah, I
some
could.
of the Australian guys
you
have
can't
tried
start
it.
college when you're 40. Yeah.
So now I take it the construction job, you don't have a degree in construction management. Yeah. So you were not top of the totem. You were kind of low on the totem pole in this job. What were your duties there?
I was actually just laboring to help out a local company down my way. And like I said, to kind of try and get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And just a bit of side money while I was training as well. And then once it hit COVID, everything shut down. So I couldn't work anymore. And I was really just, doing my thing at Pro Kick, and the rest is history.
And then you find out, hey, there's a little place called Iowa.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Is this heaven? No, it's does anybody ever talk about that? So that is a movie that came out before you were born.
Yeah, what does it say?
It's called Field of
Is
Dreams.
this heaven like no, it's Iowa or something like
Yeah,
that?
it's this guy makes a baseball field out of cornfield.
Yeah.
And
my family actually went out there, and I think my dad took a couple of my mates out there. I reckon when he was here in November.
And they're like, you got to see
yeah,
this.
but I've never been.
Some fool put a baseball field in cornfield.
Yeah, I've never been.
Yeah.
Don't have much interest in going. No offense.
Well, I think you're fine. I think you're doing just fine. Yeah. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use the code Andy. Get an instant deposit match up to $100. Obviously, there's a big game coming up on Sunday. Bunch of very exciting squares. Remember, you can pick from 2 up to 6. The more you pick, if you win, the more times the payout. And that can get very big. The football one's interesting. You look at some of these guys. Now, there's a discount on Patrick Mahomes for Sunday night. And basically, it's a free square. So if he throws for 1 yard, you're going to win that square. So you just have to decide how many more squares do you want to try to win. Do you want to go Christian McCaffrey, more than, less than 90.5 rushing yards? Brock Purdy, more than, less than 247.5 passing yards? Deebo Samuel, more than, less than 58.5 receiving yards. He's an interesting one because he can run the ball, he can catch the ball. There's a lot going on there. So download PrizePicks, use the refer code Andy. Yeah, they got more conventional sports. They got college basketball, they got hockey, but they got slapping. Download that app right now. This has been, such a gross experience, probably, in terms of just learning football. Did you become a better punter as you learned how the game worked?
I'd say yes and no. It was really one of those things that I didn't know too much about it at the start, and football is such a complicated game in itself that I just kind of tried to keep things simple and just simplify it as much as I could. And at the end of the day, I'm punting the ball, and that's what I've been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
There's obviously different things that go into it. The NFL, if I'm fortunate enough to get onto a team, it's going to bring a lot of different challenges that college doesn't have, just in terms of scheme and more so personnel. Like, it's the best of the best out there every single week. I think that's why they get paid so much. And if you don't do your job, you're out the door. Oh yeah. And the athletes are obviously incredible.
Yeah, you got to play with some really great ones at Iowa. And during interview number 1 that I wasn't recording, you told me a story about Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the best player on the team. This will be
the best player in Iowa football history.
Yeah, one of the highest draft picks, on this team. And he's insistent on being a gunner on the punt team.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, I met with the team last night, and they said, if you could bring anyone along with you, who would it be? And they probably thought it was such a simple answer because he's a first-round pick, but I kind of said to them that, I said, it's not because he's a great corner or anything or a great football player. It was more so just his willingness to want to play on special teams, which I think is really important. And, Cooper he's like at many other schools, there's many players that are like, I don't want to play on special teams. We had a couple of guys at Iowa, and I mean, it's not going to work out for them. And I think that kind of shows. Whereas Cooper was like, if you guys take me off punt, like, look out. So, yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I was
really appreciative of,
because a lot of times the coaches will pull a guy like that off.
Yeah.
And he doesn't let him. So that's
he loved it. And you could kind of tell how much the team missed him when he left. But yeah, he's one of the greatest players that I've ever seen. And I think Iowa fans probably didn't really realize what they were seeing while they had it.
It was incredible. But yeah, you may wind up on the same NFL team.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
And he'll insist to be a gunner on the punt team there too.
Yeah, deja vu all over again.
So you had these T-shirts, "Punting is winning," which is very famous Iowa slogan. How did that come about?
Yeah, so a company in Iowa City actually reached out to me called Raygun, and they said, "Oh, hey, we've got this awesome T-shirt design." And I said, "Oh, well, I appreciate you making it, but I'm really not too interested
in NIL.
Any NIL."
Yeah.
Thought it was a distraction. I think you kind of see that now. That's all people are really worrying about. And at the end of the day, all I was focused on was just winning football games and being a good punter in itself. And anyway, Raygun reached out to me, and I just said, "No, not interested, thank you." But then they reached out again, and I said, "Well, as long as I don't have to worry about anything, And they said, well, you won't, and we'll send the money off to charity. I said, yeah, no worries, just send a check to the Iowa hospital. And I thought, I might make a couple $100 here or there.
Yeah.
But then they ended up actually sending the money to a stillbirth prevention charity in Iowa called Count the Kicks that was started by 5 ladies that had lost children at a young age. So yeah, it was started by them. But yeah, it was probably the first couple of months raised like $11,000-$12,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it got to about $13,000 or $14,000 by the end of the year, and then I think now it's around like the $60,000-$70,000 mark. But now that I'm left, people probably aren't going to buy it much anymore.
I don't know. I think they'll keep buying.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I think you've left a legacy now.
Yeah, for sure.
What's it like when you meet the ladies who found a charity like that?
Yeah, like I said before, I didn't really know too much about it. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it until Mike from Raygun mentioned it to me, did a little bit of research on it. And yeah, it was obviously pretty special just understanding and getting to know them and really just understanding their stories and what they'd been through. And, they were really appreciative of what I had done. But I was kind of more so just like, wow, this is crazy. I'm just really glad that I'm making an impact on their lives. And you could tell that it just brought like a little bit of joy to them as well, which is just as important.
So did you not do any NIL stuff at all?
No.
I mean, no. I actually talked to a couple people who felt the same way, they were just like, absolutely not. It's just, I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't really know if I should say this, but who cares? Yeah. Even at Iowa, there's been a few players that really performed their first year, and then, the offers start coming and, the messages start coming from people, and then you start losing a little bit of focus on what's really important. And I think at the end of the day, if you perform on the field, all the stuff off the field takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Whereas it goes the other way, if you worry about things off the field, the stuff on the field usually goes a bit astray. And that was really one thing that I was really focused on, was just what can I do on the field? And if you're good enough, you make it eventually.
Well, and it's interesting because especially in the situation you came over in where COVID had shut down your job, you're just, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And like, I would imagine that's a time you can concentrate pretty well and kind of see the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was certainly a weird time when I first got over here, but I think NIL started in 2021. Yeah. Summer 2021. I reckon we started first hearing about it, but I never really worried about it at all.
And now you're here.
Yeah.
And what point did that seem real that you realized, oh crap, I might be able to make an NFL team?
Oh, probably the end of my first year. You know what I mean? I'd always had a relatively big leg, but when you get over here and see other guys, you kind of like, oh, I don't know. But it was probably the end of my first year, and I remember Coach Woods having a conversation with me, and he kind of said, you really got what it takes. It's just whether you want to do it. And I said, well, yeah, of course I want to do it. So yeah, he's really helped me a lot in terms of that as well.
All right. I know there's been a lot of them, but what is probably your favorite punt of your career?
Yeah, like you said, there's been a lot of them, but in terms of a favorite punt, I'd probably be able to pinpoint one, I reckon, back in 2021 when we played Penn State and we downed it at the 1. And everyone went absolutely crazy because it kind of helped us get back into the game. And, the crowd was nuts that game. I think we got like 5 or 6 false starts in a matter of a few plays. So, yeah, that was certainly a fun game to be a part of. And just to have some sort of impact was pretty cool too.
Well, and to go from that first year when nobody was in the stands in the Big Ten to the second year when everybody's back.
Yeah.
What's that first game with a full crowd like?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I'd never really worried about the crowd too much, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they're not really my friends. Like, they're not the ones playing. I was more so just focused on, well, what can I do? And the crowd was just, they're there.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. You can't tell them to leave. So I was never really too worried about that stuff. But, playing home games are always fun, but there's nothing better than winning on the road. And I loved playing away games just as much as I did home games, probably even a little more, to be honest.
Make everybody get quiet real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is amazing when the road team does something that just sucks the air out of the stadium. And it's
for sure. Wild. It's funny. Like, I remember a few times against Wisconsin this year, I was fortunate enough to hit a couple of good punts, and you could kind of tell it was a few. You took the air out of that stadium quick. I remember watching that on TV. So, Tory, this has been a lot of fun, but I guess I got to ask, like, what do you have to do now between now and the draft to help yourself? Or, I mean, can you just say, hey, watch my tape? Or there's a bit of that, and I've said that to a couple of teams. I said all you got to do is just turn on the tape and the tape doesn't lie.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just being able to perform and showcase my talents and just show what I can do. And I think the biggest thing is there's still a lot for me to grow and improve on. And you're always going to be improving, not even just these next couple of months. It's going to be the next however many years I'm playing, which is hopefully a long time.
Tory Taylor will not be that guy in the pub wondering if he could have done it. You'll be the guy.
Exactly.
You'll be the guy in the pub with everybody buying you beers, going, "Oh God, you played for the Hawkeyes. You played in the Super Bowl, man."
Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tory.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.